Hi, welcome to our first Southampton Vampire by Night crew video log. Wow, that's a mouthful, right? So each week, we're going to be trying to bring you news and gossip from what's going on inside the SVBN project. This could be our YouTube channel, our relationship and what we're doing with By Night Studios. It could even be about the actual LARP project itself, the characters and storyline that we're developing. So we'll be discussing everything that's going on. And one of the things about this crew video log is what we're hoping is you'll get to meet most, if not all, of the current crew working on what we hope and what we think is going to be one of the best VTM LARPs going in the country. So let's get started. My name's Sam. I'm one of the NPC refs and NPC crew. I've been working with the SVBN project for a little under a year now. And with me today, is Mark, our illustrious leader, the founder of SVBN. How you doing, Mark?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks, Sam. Yeah, I'm all good, mate. Yeah, it's been a fun couple of weeks, that's for sure.
Yeah, I know. So before we get started, before we get into like the recent stuff, let's have a quick chat. So the project itself has actually been going for about 2 or 3 years now. Is that right?
3 years. 3 years it's been in development.
And this is so for people that are joining us that don't know who Southampton Vampire by Night is or why Southampton Vampire by Night is, what is Southampton Vampire by Night and why did you start it?
Wow. Okay, so originally this was all started because based off of I was seeing some really cool stuff coming from the community from basically other countries and stuff like that. So you look at the States and they've got these amazing venues with these huge, LA
by night, Las Vegas by night, Chicago by night,
exactly.
Like with huge storylines and they're in the world as well, aren't they? They're like in the canon. They're like
And I looked at all of that and some other projects that were going on and stuff like this, and I thought, you know what, I really want to create something like that for the UK.
And you want to pop your mic at the same time.
Of course I don't want to slap the mic.
carry on, Mike.
Yeah, but it's that thing where I basically just wanted to kind of create something to not only build something for the community, but also build the community. Because one of the things that I noticed when I was looking around for other vampire LARPs and stuff like that is that there was really very little out there to get new players involved in it. So one of the things that I kind of started this project with is the ethos is, wow, this mic and me are having some fun. Just push
it away. So, by the way, right, just for everyone listening, and not everyone will know this, but I regularly call Mark a ham-fisted oaf, right? Because even though in our YouTube channels, we do a really polished product. There's lots of editing. We edit out all the mistakes. You've seen the bloopers over Christmas, right? But I've filmed with Mark regularly, and he is just like, he steps on stuff, he drops stuff, he walks into things, like he's just an oaf. Like,
it's very true. It's very true.
So you were looking for something like what they have in America, something that really meant something to the world of darkness, but also, I think this is really important, and I think this is really important to bring up in our first, so we're doing this podcasty style, right? This is the idea behind this. We wanted to do a newsletter to let people know what was going on, but newsletters are so pre-modern, right? We thought, what better way than YouTube, and also we're going to do this as a podcast. So not only are you and I on video now out there in YouTube when everyone's watching this, but also they're going to be able to listen to this on the go through iTunes or through Spotify or what have you, right? So we're going to do this as a podcast and YouTube, and we're going to try and do this as a regular thing. And I think what's really important is get the message out about what our project's about. And yes, it's about vampire, but it's also about bringing, what we really want people to know is it's about bringing new players into the vampire LARP. Now, I am one of those people. Like, I have no experience in the vampire LARP. I know you had a lot of experience, and in fact, some of the other crew members that are going to be on with us in the next few weeks that people are going to meet, most of those guys, Scott and Mr. B and Tree, they all were really heavily involved for a long time with the local Southampton vampire scene. But what we really want to do with our project is make sure that it's accessible to everyone and to really bring new players in, because the old players are important, and we do understand that. And we want the old players to come along because they know the system, they know the world, they know the lore, and we want them to be part of it. We really do, but not with the exclusivity of not letting new people in. And I think that's really important to you, isn't it, Mark? Like, to your project.
100%. It's why we started things like the YouTube channel came about solely from that, because we went, if the rule book itself is huge, you know, you're talking 500 plus pages, and
I've seen it. You made me buy it. Yeah, exactly. I haven't read it.
exactly.
I read bits of it.
yeah. So it's a beast of a rule book to get through. Now, when you know the rules are really elegant, and I like them. They're very simplistic and easy to use. But getting that information across to a new player is virtually impossible if you just go, here's a rule book, read that, then come to my game. So we went, right, okay, so how are we going to get the message out there? How are we going to teach people the rules? How are we going to make it easy and digestible for their characters? And that's where we went, well, let's just make a YouTube channel and then just fill that with as much information as possible, not only about the rules, but about LARP in general, you know, character creation, what to expect at your first game, how to get into costume, where to buy your fangs from, you name it.
LARPing's, even to people that role play or do Games Workshop or are into fantasy books, LARPing can be quite... You know, role playing is one thing, because usually you role play with people. Tabletop is one thing, right? Because when you do tabletop, you're usually with friends. Not always. You know, you might be playing a living game or something, but generally, most of our experiences with role players is playing with your friends or friends of friends that you've been invited to go and play with, right? And that's always great. That's how you and I met, Mark.
Exactly.
Playing with friends of friends at a table where both of us, like, were playing with people that we did and didn't know, and we got along, and our characters got along. But that's different to LARP, right? Because LARP is a bit like turning up at nursery or school, right? Or at a new job.
No, it is 100%.
You're going to turn up to a place, and often in LARPs, people come to LARPs that have been established for a while, right? Because, you know, they're the ones that people get attracted to and come along to. So when you show up, you don't know anyone, you don't know the politics, you don't know, and it can be very, and I've been that guy. I've been to like LARPs like in the last year of the storyline, and been just stood there like, I don't know where to go. And I think what's great is the emphasis we've had for new players, letting them know how to behave, what to do. And then it's okay to be nervous, and it's okay not to know what's going on, and to go and, you know, just, and to be fair, what I like about LARP is also the fact that when you show up, you don't know anyone, and the possibility to make new friends and make your own. And unlike tabletop roleplay, where you've got a GM with a structure and a campaign and an arc and what's going on tonight, and I really don't want you to turn left, please turn right. We turn right anyway, and then the GM closes the door. Like, you know what I mean? Like with LARP, like, it's up to you how involved you want to get. Like, there's going to be storyline, there's GM, there's ref, there's plot line, there's story, there's NPCs. But it's up to you. If you want to go sit at the bar and chat with friends and have little tiny machinations of deviousness in the corner, that's fine.
Yeah, 100%. And I was one of those people when I first turned up to, you know, to my first vampire LARP. That's kind of what I did. I went there. I knew a couple of people, so I was involved in a plot line that they've been working on for some time, a coterie, and I was brought into that coterie, and it was all about Cult of Mithras and how we were going to take over the domain and practice it and all this stuff. So I spent my first, you know, I don't know, 6 months of the game pretty much just hanging out with those guys, and then occasionally going out and mingling in the court trying to find out information for them and stuff. But that's a great way to learn, right? Because slowly you're getting drawn into the storyline. Slowly people are becoming aware of you, and LARP's like that, isn't it? People, I think that's the one thing I would say to anyone who came along to any LARP and came to our LARP is take your time.
Don't be in a rush.
Yeah,
LARP is not like role play, tabletop, or computer games. It's not instant gratification. It's a lot more. It's a much more social, slow building thing. You build slowly towards things. It doesn't mean there's not. That doesn't mean there's not adventure and activity. There is. And we have a real kind of in our development that we've been talking about. We want to have a event heavy organization where things are going on two different levels, so we want things to be going on that anyone can interact with because there's an event at our event, and also within that we want things to be happening a bit like we like in it, or at least you've always said it's a bit like secret cinema in that there's something going on and you can go off and get involved in whatever bits you want to, or you could just sit back and watch, which because that's fine. So that's what we're building. So bring it. Let's come forward 3 years, because there's lots happened in 3 years, and if we went over it now, like we'd be here for hours and hours. So let's go local. And this is meant to be a video crew log about our crew, and you're our illustrious leader. So what's been going on in the last month or so for you? Like how was lockdown? How was Christmas? Like what's new for Mark?
So we had some big surprises come up just before Christmas. So basically, Katie, my wife, a member of the crew as well, she's pregnant, and then we were expecting our little baby boy to be born January 19th, 2021.
This week, right? So how did that go? It was this week, right?
It was amazing. It was amazing because it happened 6 weeks prior. So basically Ben was born premature. So in a nutshell, we had a suspicion he'd stopped moving. We were quite worried. So Katie was rushed into hospital. She was looked after fantastic there. Princess Anne in Southampton is where she was. And basically after, I think it was about 24 hours or so, where she was under monitoring and stuff, because I didn't know if it was Braskin Hicks or something, which is kind of like false movements, or because they were feeling a heartbeat, but what they weren't doing is feeling the elevated heartbeat for the movement. So anyway, a decision was made when it wasn't improving that they were going to do a cesarean, and so that took place. And I swear, if any fathers out there have gone through this, it's an incredible experience, because it took like 5 minutes for the operation to be complete before Ben was out. I got to stand up and have a look over and see that. And then, Ben was taken away. And of course, we were really scared because we weren't hearing him cry. And then the second he did, and we saw him, even now I'm trying not to get like all choked up, but it was an emotional experience, because if you can imagine that period leading up to that, we were so scared.
I remember. Yeah, of course.
And then
and all new parents are scared, right? When something like this happens, because let's face it, we had big plans. We knew we had till January as a team, as a team. We knew we had big plans. We knew what we had to time. We knew you needed some time off. So we were like, if Mark and Katie need some time off, we've got to get some stuff done. And then we've been working with By Night Studio for like maybe 8 months now, right? Like we've been talking to them for like a while, but we've been working on some plans since probably the start of the summer, was it, when we first started talking to their higher ups and doing some Zoom calls and what have you. But that was really starting to look like it was going to escalate. Like we knew that we hadn't done much, but we'd been talking to them and we'd had plans, and we were really hoping something would come off. And then all of a sudden, and it happened literally like the same. I remember, like it literally happened the same week that Katie's in hospital.
Yeah.
And then they're like, "Yep, now we're gonna go." So how was that? So what? How is that? Like, this is Christmas. You're looking for some time off. You've got a brand new baby, and then suddenly we're doing all the stuff that we've been releasing.
It was it was insane. The only way I can put it is insane. I just had to compartmentalize everything and just go, look, I've made a promise, I've made a commitment, not only to my family, but also to the project and By Night Studios at that point. So I'm someone who keeps to my commitments. If I say I'm going to do something for someone, I try, to do it. You know what I mean? I don't like to break my word. And so I will say during this, although By Night Studios had put no pressure on me or the project at all to say, no, you need to deliver on this. They were very understanding about the situation.
No, this was pressure that we put on ourselves because we didn't want to miss the beat.
No,
we didn't want someone else to come in. And like anyone, we're really small, right?
Yeah.
We're tiny, and we're trying to eke out our position.
Yeah.
And we didn't want to miss the beat because there's other people sat there that are probably talking to them as well, right?
Yeah, well, of course, and it's also the community as well, because I mean, this is something the community's been waiting for. V2 is something that the community has wanted for some time now, and
right.
this was the moment. This was the bit where it was like, this is where we could create something new to deliver that information to the community in a way which is digestible and interesting and different, and it's not really been seen before, this kind of thing. And I was so excited to be involved in it and to have that opportunity to kind of give those videos to the community. That it was
so if people are listening to this but they haven't listened or watched those, like what you're talking about V2, and this is great because I don't know anything about anything, right? Because
you do.
Well, I play it down. I've read a lot, but let's keep going with my pads up.
Yeah.
Like I don't know anything about anything. So this V2, or at least I don't have the emotional connection to this like other people do. Where I've read a lot now, and I'm very knowledgeable about stuff, but I haven't sat with it for 10 years. It hasn't been the only product for a period of time for me.
Yeah.
So V2 for me is just like tweaks. It's like, oh, they're changing that. Well, big whoop-de-doo. Like to a certain extent for me, I'm like, it's all new, so it doesn't really. But so what for the people that may be listening or watching us now? What's so big about this stuff that? Like,
V2.
What's the big deal? What's the big deal, Mark?
Okay, so V2 is basically the expansion, or one of the expansions for the Mind's Eye Theatre rulebook. So it introduces new bloodlines, new rituals, new disciplines, basically new content. And this new content then opens up, of course, for the player base, loads of new options to create interesting new characters, new story arcs, you name it. That's what this is all about. That's where that excitement comes in, because it means that if you have been playing this mech game, regularly for some time now, you've probably made a character using most of the rules and seen a lot of what's in the rule book, in front of you. Now, all of a sudden, there's going to be new and exciting things coming across, just little things like the bloodlines for the Nosferatu, the creeps, you know what I mean? This is going to be something that's going to add some real interesting story into games, just that one particular bloodline. And then on top of that, you've got a bit of mysticism that's now being fleshed out and is in the game. There's loads and loads of stuff in it.
Because I've noticed that with you with the vampire lot, and I still don't really consider myself one of the vampire lot yet, because I haven't played. I'm part of the project. I've written NPCs. I'm heavily involved in the background development, but I haven't played.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I noticed even amongst our little project group, you're kind of clannish.
Oh, definitely, 100%.
So like you might have played other clans, but you kind of feel at home. You can liken it to, there's other systems, isn't there? Like Magic the Gathering has it where people are like, I play white, or I play mono red, or I play Graxis, or I play this. People, it's a bit like that, isn't it? It's tribal. And once you've found your tribe, you're kind of loyal to them. So to have this plethora of new archetypes and new bloodlines and new things means that you can get stuck into your clan in a whole brand new way.
Yeah. And you're 100% right. It is like that. And that's not a bad thing. It's just because you build memories up, you build stories, you build characters and experiences when you play a clan. And sometimes you come up against some opposition. For example, my deep-seated hatred for the Tremere is, and I'm open about this, is because there has been so many times when Tremere players have been able to utilize those clan abilities to thwart my plans. And it can only ever build up that hatred more for them.
But you don't want to go and join them. But you don't feel the urge to go and join them.
Of course not. No.
You just want to find a way to get them back, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's that thing where you get rivalries. Football clubs have rivalry, stuff like that. And I think for me, in Vampire, you do come across those kind of clan rivalries sometimes from the player base that have played particular clans, etc. And like it's like for me, Von True, just don't gel with them. And it's because I think there was a game I went to and I slept through a 2-hour Venture board meeting, and some people love that role play. And for me, I was just like, oh my God.
For some people that would be, but for some people that would be an escape, right?
Yeah, because it was awesome. It really
was,
you know.
And if you're not a corporate person, I've sat in board meetings, right? And board meetings can be spelt BORED, like
yeah, they can.
Like I'm a doer. I'm a doer. I like to fix things. But I've done it. I've worked at those people. I think. What's great about LARP and role play in general, but LARP even more so, is it gives people the opportunity to do something that they don't get access to in their normal life. Maybe something they feel like they're missing, or something they feel they could be good at, but they don't have the opportunity to explore or do.
Yeah.
And it gives them a safe place to do that. I remember my first LARP I went and played was one of PD's up at Maelstrom before Maelstrom ended. And everyone, I remember going there, and I only played for 2 years, the last 2 years, and I remember going there, and there was these power struggles, and everyone wanted to be in charge, and everyone wanted to be like, and the thing was, I was running a company at the time, so when I went LARPing, like, I didn't want to be in charge of anything.
Yeah.
Like, I wanted to know where the militiamans were setting up. Right, I wanted to know how much our little gang had on tick at the militiamans, so I knew how pissed I could get. And I just wanted to walk around jobbing people. That was it. Like, I didn't want to be in charge. I didn't want to be like a leader. I didn't want to be like. But that's because I spent all of my time doing that in my business life.
Yeah, exactly.
That when I was on my downtime, I wanted a different experience. That I wanted something. Can I just be one of the guys, and can I just.
Yeah.
Someone else can tell me what to do, and I don't have to think about it and be in charge.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably the same for you, in that's very corporate and like very business. Yeah. And you've been involved in some big businesses in your private life. So go into a board meeting, you're going to be like, this is just a busman's holiday. This is just, this is just like, work.
Yeah. So 100%. It's one of those things where I think that that basically, when you go to a LARP, it's an opportunity, like you said, to play a character or be something that you're not normally, have access to in, let's say, the real world, for example. And that's, to me, one of the best things about, LARP and vampire LARP and stuff like that, is that you can play, especially.
Well, vampires adding another layer of fantasy on top, right?
Yeah,
so you've got the LARP as the fantasy itself is doing something make believe, and then you're adding this whole layer of fantasy of vampire world, fairy world, werewolf world. It's all being laid on top with all these extra truths, basically, for you to explore.
Yeah, and it's that thing where so for me, I mean, I've done field LARPs, I've done live action, as in like with the sword and shield and stuff like that. And the thing with those is, if you have to be skilled yourself to be able to be good at combat, you have to also be physically fit to be able to take part in those battles, and so that adds that restriction. So if I wanted to, in the real world, I've got stuff going on and I want to go along and I want to be a heroic warrior who gets stuck in at those kind of LARPs, you are limited by your physical ability. And so that's for me,
and your budget,
and
your budget, like, because that's not fair. Like those big field LARPs, if you want plate mail, even if you want the plastic stuff, but if you want plate mail or chain mail or even leather, some of this stuff is super expensive, and the rubber weapons, they're not cheap. They're not cheap. I remember kitting myself out slowly but surely over a couple of years, but I think my first proper good sword and axe were 90 quid for one and 130, 140 for the other. And this is for bits of rubber. Like, it's not. Because they're safe and they look nice. But yeah, that's just a small piece of it. That's not including the cost of the LARP. Whereas, you're right. The LARP we're going to be doing, it's mind's eye theatre. It's still in the mind's eye. We're going to help the theatre by wrapping it in costume and makeup and screen setting, but you can still say my vampire runs faster than the speed of anyone else for the next 2 rounds without you having to sprint around the room twice.
Yeah, exactly. And you can, there's no risk of any physical injury. So if you're in jobs that, you can't take that risk because
or you're handicapped or disabled. And that's the thing that I always thought was unfair with the big field LARPs, is that there's a big part of the role play community which are either physically handicapped, so they can't get onto a field, or they don't want to be in a field that big. People that with agoraphobia maybe, or there's lots of reasons why people don't want to be in a great big field, but want the excitement of LARP.
Yeah, and that's why to me, Vampire LARP is one of the most inclusive LARP systems you can get involved in. Because of that, because there are no limitations to the player base. You know what I mean? It can be made into a safe space for anybody to get involved in. And then explore.
And with ours, we're even letting people attend in a certain way. The intention is to let people who can't even get, if physical barriers getting to the place is a problem, we're looking at ways. And we haven't. Now I have to admit, I think from my point of view, I think it's still a work in progress. We've got some great ideas. We've got some thoughts. In fact, I'm in charge of one of those things. I like to try and work out how we can make the camera system work.
Yeah.
But it's still, and I think it will be a work in progress over a couple of years. Even once our LARP goes live, what we give remote people the first year may not be the same thing we give them the second year, because the idea will be to make it better, especially if we're successful, because we're going to be limited by budget. We're going to be limited by what we can achieve with technology and budget. But the more successful we are and the more players we have, the more we can put into that, and the more we can make that a better experience. But that goes to show again that we're thinking, we want it to be inclusive, not exclusive. So if people are like, I really want to play, but I'm stuck in Portland in America, but I'm from Southampton and I really want to play with my mates or see what's going on in that game, we want to give them the opportunity to be involved.
Yeah. And
now we've jumped in and we talked a lot about the project. We kind of said we wouldn't do, because we said that would probably take up a lot of our time. So let's just hop back about what's been going on recently, because I know we've had a lot of releases on the YouTube channel, and you've had to pick that up because it wasn't meant to be you in them.
No.
Other crew members were meant to be doing them, giving you a bit of a break. Because of Ben, because of the kid coming along, we built this up to a point where other people were going to pick up some responsibilities and give you a bit of a break. And you haven't been able to do that because of lockdown, right? People can't come around. We can't use as everyone can see on the YouTube video of this, you can see that Mark is currently in the SVBN studio, otherwise known as the box room in Mark and Katie's house. So you've had to pick that up. And I know you don't mind because you enjoy doing this, which is why you've got a studio and we're sat doing the first crew video log. But tell me a bit about that. How was that working with By Night Studios? Because that's a big thing, right? Big thing for you, a big thing for us, a big thing for the community.
So to start it all off, we so like I said, just as Ben was born, we had those kind of conversations had taken place probably the week before to outline what we were going to do, and it was going to basically be 3 videos. So we were going to film 3 videos to cover 3 aspects of the new rule book coming out, and that was we were setting up, as I say, in discussions about a new way to deliver that to the community. Hence what you can see in those videos, with the rules coming up, but also you can see the people chatting to each other, and we're talking about trying to make it with the character creation side of stuff, and etc. So all of this was kind of planned out that week prior, and that's when members of the crew, so we had Stu was going to be doing the first video, we had
which he did though. Stu still did, right? Stu still did. Yep.
So Stu was able to do the first one, and then we had
because that one was filmed December, was it? That was filmed the other side of the new lockdown.
Yes. So you then had Bishop, who was going to come in and do our second video with Jason, and then Scott was going to come in and do the third video with Elise. And that was the kind of plan, and we were starting to develop some scripts and stuff, and that was, as I say, that was all done the week leading up to Ben appearing. So then Ben came along and we were like, right, well, commitments, I've made a commitment, so I want to stick to that. So whilst we were going in and out of hospital each day, I was dropping Katie off, staying there for a bit myself, and then coming back and then grabbing either to do the filming as in Stu's one, and then then trying to fit in editing after that around hospital visits, etc. And then we went to tier 4 lockdown in the UK, which pretty much means everybody's in theory not on house arrest, but unless you're going to go to work and stuff, you pretty much have to stay at home. Nobody's allowed around and stuff like this, which then meant that we had to really consider the quality of the filming equipment we had available in the team. Now, as you can see on this is kind of us without any bells and whistles. So we wanted to.
We're not even using the fancy cameras for this. I'm using my I'm using my webcam. I think you're using your cam. We were just using our webcams for this, right? But so we try to use high. It's the best cameras we can afford. We try to use for the main YouTube channel.
Exactly. So that's when we turned around and I went, okay, so I basically spoke to the team and said, look, guys, I don't think that the quality of what we could produce our side of stuff is going to be up to, where I want it to be for these videos. So at that point, I had to step in and to film the video with Jason in the video of release, which put a little bit of pressure on me because at the time, as you could probably tell, I wasn't exactly in the most happiest of places.
Well, how much sleep were you getting? Let's face it, how much sleep were you getting at this point?
So I was all right-ish because Ben was at hospital at the time, being looked after in hospital.
Right.
For me, it was the in and out every day for that, but also the emotional effect because as fantastically safe as Ben was there,
you were leaving your kid at the hospital every day, right?
Like Christmas Day was heartbreaking because we got to spend an hour and a half with our son on Christmas Day and then open some presents up with him and stuff, and then we had to leave him. Once again, I wish to point this out that the staff, the nurses, the doctors at the Princess Anne are absolutely phenomenal, because when we turned up on Christmas Day, with our couple of little presents for Ben, there was a stocking for him, there was presents all over his bed, there was a gift basket for me and Katie.
Wow.
It was an experience like we were not expecting it, and they'd done it for all of the kids that were there,
right?
And it was I'm trying not to get choked up at this bit, but they made us a card, and I was bawling because we opened the card, and what they've done is they put a little footprint of Ben in the card.
Oh, that's cool.
Love Ben, first Christmas, mummy, daddy, etc. So we had that going on. So the emotional effect was there then, but the actual filming of the videos and stuff like that, it went very smoothly. The editing wasn't too bad. It was long. The editing process for them took some time because it was all new to me. I mean, I'm not.
That's always the thing that people. Well, yeah, but I think as YouTubers, you become.
Yeah, you do.
Something you have to learn to do as you become more ingrained in your channel. The more that you pursue this, the more the YouTube job. People think it's just recording.
No.
And whacking it on YouTube, right?
Much more.
Like that. The recording bit's the quick bit.
Yeah, it is.
Working out what's interesting, working out a script, working out how to film it, filming, setting up all the filming, getting the lighting right, and then once you've done all of that, editing it, putting it together in an interesting way, having a decent title screen. Because now YouTube's become such a huge, monstrous thing. People expect high product line. They want to have graphics at the beginning. They want to have a recognizable theme tune that they can tune into, because again, it's a bit like the tribalism of clans, isn't it? YouTube's become like that. Like your channels that you follow, you become a member of, and it becomes tribal like that.
Yeah, it's community. It's all community based.
And I think all YouTubers say this. They spend far longer in the editing suite than they do making the product.
Because I feel like I've got a commitment to my subscribers and to the vampire community to deliver the best product I can. I want to make sure that I don't put anybody off because I didn't take 2 more minutes to edit something nicely, that kind of thing. I don't want to make the videos off-putting or something. So, I work with the skills I've got and try to deliver the best thing I can, because I'm the same when I watch YouTube. If I watch YouTube and I come across someone, no matter what the content is, if I listen to it and the sound quality is really quiet and I can't make out what they're saying, or there's scratchy sounds, or the music's really loud, it's like, bam, next video.
Skip.
And they
could straight through,
exactly. And they could have been delivering something that I could have been really excited to listen to, but I missed that opportunity just because, unfortunately, the editing just didn't hit that mark.
And I think it goes the other way as well, doesn't it? Like there could be content that you're not particularly interested in, but you watched it all the way through because the graphics were great at the beginning, the clickbait thumbnail was fantastic. When the guy started speaking, he had the right lighting. He wasn't sat there with not like me now with shadows all over the place and what have you, and a light in his eyes and reflecting off the. You talk, and. You find that, don't you, that you'll sit and watch that now because it's well polished. So with that in mind, right, with all that in mind, we've got people, please go and check it out. If you're listening to this, our video crew podcast and video log, if you're listening to this and you haven't checked out other footage, please go and check out the other footage. It's all on YouTube. There's lots of great footage there.
Can I add as well? Please go and watch one of the first videos I released and then watch one of those, because that's
true, because you'll see what we're talking about with the contrast between that's true. That is true. But please do check those things out. But what's coming next then, Mark? Because we're not letting off the leash on this, and we're not. No. And this is, I think, the important thing to tell everyone. I think, and one of the things I wanted to make sure we did on our very first one of these is we're not a YouTube channel. Like, we have a YouTube channel, but we are not a YouTube. And people, I think, are starting to think of us as a YouTube channel, which is great.
Yeah.
It is great, but we have one. What we are is a LARP.
Yes. But
the LARP has been a little bit delayed. We now think. It's good that it was delayed. It was fortuitous, because we were going to make some decisions last year that if we then started working with By Night Studio, so if we'd done what we wanted to do and we launched in January last year or March last year with our original storyline using version 5, using V5 with the
V20.
Sorry, V20.
The Met rules, but basically V20 style.
In V20, but in 1999 we were going to do a Millennium storyline. If we had done that, we then would have found it very difficult to make the decision we made 6 months ago, where we went, let's get on board with the current meta, let's get on board with what By Night Studios are doing, let's get on board with what the computer game's doing. To make that shift 6 months into a brand new product would have been very, not impossible, but almost impossible to consider. Whereas where we were like, well, we haven't delivered yet. We haven't launched. So it was much easier for us to make some decisions and go, okay, that work we've done is not ruined, it's not spoiled. We can still use some of it. Plenty of NPCs, plenty of character sheets, plenty of ideas that can be filtered into it. But actually, so what's going on? What's the, I don't want to roadmap out like everything is going on over the next year or anything, but what's the immediate next big plans for what we've got going on during lockdown? What can people watching the YouTube and listening to this? What can they expect from Mark? What's Mark working on?
So we've basically got like a roadmap-ish for the year in regards to the first couple of months. So January, February is all about, the team is focused on generating a new website. So we're getting imagery for that. We're getting the kind of the text, but we're aiming it towards a website for new players that are interested in Vampire LARP to get on board in. So all the introductions to clans are more brief and don't go into massive detail. They're just there to give you the flavor of each clan. We're going to try and put imagery on there as well to kind of give you that kind of, I don't know, if the only way to describe it is each clan kind of has fashions that they associate themselves with. So it's not a costume that they wear. Like a Brewyer doesn't have to wear leather to be a Brewyer.
Not a uniform.
It's not a uniform. It's a fashion that clan, kind of goes towards. So that kind of stuff. We're making this website at the moment. That's where the kind of the focus is. At the same time, we're going to be creating more of these videos, which is more behind the scenes, more crew chats. We've got, we want to do some interviews and chats with other LARP organizers out there, Vampire LARP organizers, to kind of learn from their experiences and what they want to share with the community and kind of give them a voice for that. And also if there's anything like when we were chatting with Elise from By Night Studios, there was some stuff they use out in the States to do with, like, I think it's called the OK check or something, which is a method to quickly kind of engage with another player and ask if they're happy with the situation they're currently in, as in that kind of role play. And I want to do a video with that about that. And then, also going on from that, so further into the year, that's when we're going to literally after February, our focus is going to flip over trying to create our first LARP. And the first one we're going to go for is a Nordics. So when I say first one, the first game, our launch game, is going to be a large game, which is going to have a Nordic style rules. Think Secret Cinema. For those of you who are watching or listening to this, Secret Cinema is where they've taken a movie or a TV series, and then you get to turn up and just be a part of it. That scenes are acted out. There's missions that you can kind of get involved in. There's all kinds of secret stuff. Your experience will be completely different to somebody else's. And me and Katie were lucky enough at the start of last year to go to the Stranger Things Secret Cinema, and we were blown away. So what we want to do is we want to incorporate some of that into the LARP. So it means you as a player, your character, when you turned up, it's not going to be about the rules and about throwing disciplines around and stuff. It's going to be about turning up and immersing yourself into the story, into our
having an experience.
World. Yeah, exactly. Being able to walk away and chat with your friends and say, hey, did you see this? And them going, no, where was that? How did that happen?
Yeah, without worrying about rules and combat because like we said earlier on in this chat, when you turn up to this for the first time, you don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know about and it's not a problem that you don't know about that, because the very first event, that's not going to be important. And then once you've now experienced it and you've met a few people, and then your second game won't be as daunting, and then you can start thinking about, okay, well, in this situation, I might use this discipline, or if this starts happening, I might use that discipline, because you've got some grounding, you've got some experience to base those decisions off.
Yeah, it's basically the as I say, this first game is kind of like rules light, and it's world building. And the reason why we're doing this one as our first game, this world building game, is because this is what's going to set up then our games for the next year. So every year we will do one big Nordic like Secret Cinema style LARP, and then for the rest of the year we're going to throw in 6 other games, which is going to be like our local canon,
local regular games, the local storyline,
and
with a great big international event, because we're hoping that our international followers may travel to it, or might participate through, again, if we can get this system set up, may participate through the remote system, or if it's a Nordic event and people can, and that's going to be the tricky thing, isn't it, when people can travel, where they can travel from.
And we want to try and make it, as I say, one of our thing is inclusivity, new players, that kind of stuff. So we are trying to make that game as easy as possible for anybody to play or get involved in, because at least that way, you get to experience some Southampton Vampire by Night, and it doesn't matter that you don't have that kind of, I've got a character that's been in the game for the last 4 years or something. It doesn't matter, because those games will be self-contained, big story. You turn up, get involved, you meet people. We're hoping they're going to be something fantastic, and that's kind of our plan. That's the big thing we're leading up to. Now, none of us are LARP. Well, before this, none of us are LARP organizer or event organizers or planners. So we've got to learn everything that goes into it, and that's why this has taken so long. Because not only have we been having to learn, and we've made mistakes and had to change things around because of those, etc. This year, literally, it's going to be about us learning what we need to do to produce that event to the style and to the level that we want it to be at. And it's going to be fun. You know what I mean? So I'm looking forward to it. And hopefully these videos that we're going to be doing as well can hopefully share our learnings with the community, and you get to see the behind the scenes a bit. And maybe
so hopefully so hopefully people can listen to this, watch this, find out what's going on with the LARP, keep up to date, get cues for other things they can go and look at. Please, in the next couple of weeks, the new website's going to be live. So that's the things to look out for, I think, is keep looking out for the YouTube content. Have we got any more plans to do any? I know we did something with Black Chantry last week. and I saw that video drop in. That was super exciting because that was a pre-release. That was a bit of a preview there. Is there any other plans to do, like, real quick? We're going to start. We're going to wrap up now. But real quick, just plug, like, what is there anything that people should be looking out for with us working with By Night Studios, or anything exciting coming up that you're working on in the next couple of weeks?
So there is some stuff, but I can't talk about.
Okay.
But
well, maybe we need to meet up in 3 weeks' time then and do a crew log, and then you can talk about it.
Yeah.
So if anyone wants to know what Mark's intimating, keep a lookout and come and join us in 2 or 3 weeks' time when we can talk about it. Is that right, Mark? Is that what you're saying? You're such a douche. You're such a clickbait douche. Like, if anyone has listened to the end of this, thank you for listening all the way through. We hope you've enjoyed it. Mark is always this much of a douche, like he just is. Mark, thanks for answering my questions.
No worries.
Southampton Vampire By Night, we really hope you've enjoyed this. We're going to try and make this a regular thing. It won't always be me hosting. Sometimes it might be Mark. Sometimes it might be someone else. As always, we always like to say this: if you've got anything that you want to bring up, anything you want to bring to attention, please feel free to reach out to us. If you want to be involved, if you want to get involved in any capacity, if you're an artist, if you're a writer, if you're a photographer, if you're a web, if you're involved in stuff or you want to get involved, please reach out to us. We're always happy to talk to people. People are always reaching out, and that's what's great about this community. It is a community, and we're looking to work together. And the more people we can bring, the better. Mark, thank you very much, mate.
No worries.
It's been great chatting to you. Hopefully people have enjoyed this. Give it a thumbs up and a like and a share. You can find our other YouTube. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Patreon if you want to support. If you want to come along and support us, but you don't want to come along and help, but you've got a little bit of spare cash and you want to throw some money at the project and help us out that way, then please check out our Patreon. There's loads of ways you can support us. Please check us out. Please come back and keep watching. Give it a like and a subscribe and a share. If nothing else, please hit that subscribe button. Support us that way. Mark, thanks for your time. I'll speak to you again soon, mate.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks again for that. And I'll see everybody soon. Oh, I've done it again.
He hit the mic again. Such a ham-fisted oath.
Every time, douche.
You want to end it there? You want to end it? You want to edit it there?
Cut.